Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio, your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio. It's my absolute delight on today's show to be joined by the fabulous Dr. Taryn Fletcher. But before she comes out, let me share a little bit more about Dr. Taryn with you. She's a coach, a best-selling author, an educator, and she's on a mission to empower 1 million change makers, executives and entrepreneurs to lead with clarity, confidence and impact. Dr. Taryn spent 2 decades transforming failing school systems and winning awards for her leadership. So she knows what it feels like to reach the top and still be held hostage by red tape, bureaucracy and barrier after barrier. Today, she helps closet change makers pivot into their most meaningful work through her Pivot Accelerator program. And she's reached millions of readers and viewers through national publications and media like the 74, Smart Brief and the Hitchington Report, where she's helped audience solve complex problems within their organizations and their lives. Dr. Taryn is a proud mum of 3, a TEDx speaker, and a lifelong believer in the power of taking bold, intentional action every day. Dr. Taryn, please come and join us. It's such a delight to have you here.
Hello, how are you?
Oh, I'm so good. I'm so looking forward to having you on this show, as I so enjoyed having you on my show. But it's just lovely to see you again. How are you?
I am doing really well. I'm so happy that 2025 is behind me and I'm in 2026. I don't know who else feels like that, but I'm feeling really good. So thank you for having me here.
Oh, it's a pleasure. And I so feel that. I think I don't know, there feels like a new energy, and we're about to head into even more energy, aren't we, as we move into the next period. And I think it brings with it that excitement for what next. But you've already done so much. Can you bring that to life for us a little bit more?
Well, I mean, yes, I think we collectively, right, have done a lot. But, you know, I find that I like to call myself the pivot queen, and I kind of gave myself that name, but other people can confirm. And I think these kinds of seasons in our lives, new beginnings, new years, they give us this new sense of energy of like pivoting. And that's something that I do often. I was in the education system, and really that has done me well, right? I have made a name for myself there. But when I made it to the top, I felt so much restriction, and I couldn't believe that I was so high up in my career. It was almost like I reached a peak, but at that peak, I felt the most restriction on being able to lead the way that I wanted to lead. And so it led me to a new path of entrepreneurship. And the way I got into entrepreneurship was from a challenge in my life. I found out that my son in utero, we found out that he had been diagnosed with Down syndrome. And although I was in the education system, sat in hundreds of IEP meetings where we were planning for children and families with special needs, once that information hit my doorstep, that was totally different. I almost couldn't even think about how my life would look now, a mom of 3 with now a child with special needs. And so, but that moment in my life allowed me to rethink purpose and make a new pivot and let go of the energy and the mindset and the perfectionism that I had in my life to really enter in a world of purpose, of pivoting often, of change and transformation. And so I'm just in love with what's happening in my world right now.
Oh, I love that. And your energy shows. I mean, you kind of exude that enthusiasm and that purpose. I think I mean, you said the word purpose, and I think that sums it up so beautifully. Is sometimes we get lost in the doing and we forget the why we're doing it. And I think when we have those moments in our life that force us to revisit purpose, they can feel very hard, but they're usually a platform for growth, aren't they?
Absolutely. And when we think about, right now I'm in a season, like physically in a season where there's snow everywhere. We had a big snowstorm. And so everything is covered, right? And that can feel like, right? The metaphor I'm seeking in my mind right now is that sometimes in life we can feel very like drowned out, very covered, burdened, like we're carrying the weight of the world. And I know that really well. But it is in those moments and in seasons like a new year where we really have to start to let go of the things that we're carrying. The turn of the calendar is not the signification of change. It doesn't signify that something new is going to happen, but the shedding, the letting go, the acceptance of what is right in front of you that can be great and real and wonderful in your life, that is the beginning of something new.
I love that. I love that. It's so true, isn't it? Because we do sometimes have to intentionally put things down and say, actually, I don't need to carry you anymore. Yes. Now is the time that I can leave that and I can move forward. But that's easy to say and hard to do. So the people listening and watching, how do you start that journey into knowing what it is that you can start to let go of?
Yes. Well, I read that psychologists call this cognitive closure, right? And this is this conscious act of releasing what no longer deserves your energy, releasing things that no longer serve you. But the question is, how? How do we do that, right? And for most of the clients that I work with, they want some practical action steps. They want something that is like, okay, I'm not so woo-woo like you, but I want to get there. I'll get there. What's the practical thing? And so right before we even got on this recording, I was looking at my calendar, right? And I think doing something practical, like thinking about your week, 1 week at a time or 2 weeks at a time, is a great way to kind of think about letting go. And so I plan my week very differently than most people that would be in the CEO world or in the executive space. I start my week by putting all my workouts and my fun things on the calendar first. So I don't actually squeeze in where workouts will happen or squeeze in where I'll take a vacation or squeeze in where I'm going to do the girly things like the nails and the hair, or the I shouldn't say girly, I should say the things that I really find flirtatious and fun. I do those things first. I plan them where I want the energy to be high. So my workouts are in the morning at 9 a.m. as opposed to a meeting. Meetings are the third or fourth thing that I put on my calendar. So my priorities are workouts, projects, like things that I really need to move the needle on because they move the needle in my life and in my work. Then it's meetings. And then it's white space. So trying to find blocks of time where I can just do nothing. Nothing for me is a walk. Nothing for me could be reading. Nothing for me could be mindless reality TV, or it could just be thinking about something. But I plan where I want my energy to go first, as opposed to planning the things that I think I must do or I need to do according to the societal standards.
Oh, I love that, Dr. Jacqueline. Dr. Stratton, she's producing. But it so resonates because I used to be dreadful for not doing the things that bring me joy, that refill my cup, that allow my energy to stay high, because I never got time for them because I was too busy doing the stuff I thought everybody else expected me to do. And then it's been following, our conversation. I've started to become significantly more intentional with it. So that at the end, I do mine at the end of every day. At the end of every day, I reflect on what actually has to happen tomorrow for tomorrow to feel good, to feel like progress, whether that's a workout, whether that's thinking time, whether that's to go and do a project, or whether actually it's to just go and do some self-care. I kind of make sure that I've got those. And then the start of my day is meetings don't come in until late morning. Unless there's an absolute emergency, they don't come in until late morning, because then I can make sure I've done the things that were important to ensure that I could go, today was a good day. Today was successful. And it changes your energy, doesn't it?
It does. And oftentimes people will say to me, oh, well, you get to do that because you work for yourself. And you know what? I used to believe that. I absolutely used to believe that you had to leave the bureaucracy, the red tape, and those restrictive environments in order to live and lead the way you want to. However, I've pivoted on that idea. I don't believe you need to leave, but I do believe you need to let go. And there's a difference.
I love that. And it's so true. And I know from my own experience, like many years ago when I was working in corporate life, I thought I had to be present and on all of the time. And then when I became a mum, I still had the big job, but I now needed to balance it with being a good mum. And it came with a lot of personal pressure that you put yourself under. And I remember going to get this one job as a contractor and saying that I will do everything that needs to be done, but I need to do it with some flexibility. So I need to be able to do it around Scarlett's hours, which means I'll be in the office for these hours and I'll do the rest of the work when she's gone to bed. And it was a real moment for me of going, it can be done. I just have to look at it differently. And I have to trust that I'll be able to do it. And because it was a contracting role, I remember saying to them, like, if after a week you are uncomfortable with my output, with my impact, with how I'm delivering in the role, then we can call it quits. We can call it quits, because I have that much confidence in my ability that I know I can make it work for you, and I'm willing to step away if it doesn't. And it was thank you. It was a real moment, to your point of that pivot of going, hold on, the only person who's really holding me back in thinking is me. Because if I trust that I can do this, I can lead a team, because actually they'll be busy in meetings while I'm needing to come back, and they can talk to me on their way home. It fits for people. And what you did is you, to your point, you pivoted and created a new environment within which to view the world. Would that be fair?
Yes. And that's exactly, I think, the space we all need to be in, because you can find an overworked and overfunctioning CEO, right? So it doesn't necessarily matter your level of autonomy. And that's what I really thought. I thought that if I had full autonomy, I would be able to create everything to fit my needs the way I want. But the perspective is, if you change your environment, but you don't change your mindset, you don't do the internal work to really think about, why is it that I value over functioning? I was working with a client yesterday, and she was talking about how she was really frustrated with her team members because they were finding time to do their workouts, but she wasn't. And she really found it to be something that they were doing to her. And so what we had to do was reframe that. And we had to say, I'm not working out because I value over functioning. And she was really uncomfortable saying that. And she was like, oh, I don't really. But that's the reality. If you wanted to prioritize your workouts. There's a way to do that, but you have to acknowledge that something in you says, I'm a better person. I am more valuable because I am working to the bone. That is what we have to really course correct on and make the pivot on.
I love that, and that's so, it so resonates, because I think sometimes we do. One of the phrases I use a lot with myself is, I used to say, I can't do this because, or I haven't got time to do this because, and now I make say,
oh my goodness, sorry.
So now I make myself look at myself in the mirror and say, restate that statement with, it's not important to me, because that's my reality. We are, my lovely. So that's kind of like my reality is, instead of it, I can't do it, it's not important enough to me, or something else is more important to me, and it brings me back to that presence that goes, I'm not doing the workout because because I'm too busy. Well, no, I'm not doing the workout because I'm choosing not to make it important to me. I'm choosing to make what's important to me instead. And it is an uncomfortable truth to sit with, isn't it, when you have to hold yourself to that level of account?
It is. It's really, really uncomfortable. And, I don't think the work of the coach is to kind of validate every feeling and make someone feel good about the space that they're in. I think part of having a coach is having someone to pressure test the like perspectives and ideas that you have, help you to think about the internal rewiring that needs to be done. And that's where you find the most control, right? Being upset about your coworker or your external factors really puts you in a position where you're not in any control of how the outcome will be, right? You are in control of what you do, not the consequences that come from what you do. So being able to think internally about that is so important. And that's something you really can't do alone a lot of times. It's not easy to put the mirror up and look at all the parts of yourself that you don't love. But when you have a critical friend or a coach or someone that can hold that mirror up and say, this is what I'm seeing. Is this what you see? And do you like what you see? And if no, I want to lock arms with you and help you, because I believe in the very things that you want for yourself too. We just have to pivot and find our pathway to get there.
I love that, because it is, as actually with the people I work with, it's more about being in a thinking partnership. It's having somebody to proactively think with, because we can't always do that thinking for ourselves, because we tell ourselves untruths. We don't mean to, but we tell ourselves untruths. And we've all had those moments, haven't we, where we say something out loud to another human being and then go, it's okay, I heard it for myself. I heard it for myself, and I can see for myself what needs to change here, even though we've probably been saying that internally to ourselves for a few days or for so long. So being able to kind of have somebody, and I think it's also making it important. So when you've got somebody to do it, to be your thinking partner, to be your coach, to hold that space for you, you are choosing to be intentional about it because you've planned it, you've booked it in. Do you think that helps also in that making it important and moving that needle forward is because you are being that intentional?
Yes. And I think the hard thing about making something important is the claiming of that thing that you hold to importance. And because it varies so much from person to person, sometimes we don't like to claim things that we want for ourselves because of the fear of judgment of others, right? Well, I don't value actually working to the bone. I value being home with my family. And, sometimes you feel like you might be judged for not being that efficient and productive person because you value sitting on the couch and maybe enjoying a movie or two with your family members. And so sometimes we have a hard time claiming those things, or if we're opposite, we really value working and productivity and we don't really enjoy the downtime. And we prefer being alone more than being in groups or with family. Those things can be hard to admit because they are easily judged. I didn't love to admit that I wanted to be an entrepreneur and then I wanted to coach. I felt that because I had so much background in academia and I had spent all these years gathering all these degrees and earning them, that a coach, which really does not require any type of credential to do, I felt it was little like hokey or like not real or significant. And what I had to do is do the work on the fact that, well, Taryn, you were an instructional coach. Yes, that required some credential. But what did we spend most of your time doing when you were working with people? It was the inter workings of their mind and their ideas about themselves. It was mindset work. It was rewiring perspectives. It was cognitive closure type of work. And so that was coaching. That was life coaching. I mean, when you really went down to bare bones, that's what we did to move the needle in the academic sense. That's what we did to help them push toward their goals. We got close on what was internally happening. And so I had to claim that, you know what, I do want to be a coach. I am a coach. And that is significant because it's making a difference in other people's lives and it brings me joy. Period. End of story. Someone else might think I'm having a life crisis and I'm losing my mind for leaving a top tier position, but I know what I'm doing. I trust myself. I'm going to take this step forward because I know this is what I want to do. That's claiming it.
I love that. And it's so powerful when we can claim it, isn't it? Because we spend all of our time. Yeah, I remember going and doing a speech of an area of underprivileged teenagers and asked them, what do you want to do? Like, where'd you go? Where'd you go next? And as we were working through it, you saw them all. They only had to write it down. They didn't have to tell anybody, but they were like looking at everybody else's before they wrote their own because they were so nervous of that judgment, of that fear that whatever I say won't be what you expect. And I remember having to stop them and say, I don't mean to be mean, but the reality is the likelihood of any of these people being a significant part of your life in 10 years is highly unlikely. So don't make your choices based on their view because there's only one of you and you only get one life.
That's
so
right.
It doesn't matter if my vision of success is not your vision of success because I'm not living your life, I'm living mine.
Exactly.
But stepping away and giving people, owning that, claiming that and going, I don't really mind what you think because actually as long as I'm not doing harm, as long as I'm not being mean, as long as I'm not hurting you from doing yours, then actually I'm okay to live mine differently.
Right. Yeah, I think the reality of this, and this is something I've learned over time too, is that we think, or I have thought, I'll speak for myself, and I do think others would agree. I thought that if I did follow the path that other people had thought was right for me, whether that was my parent or whether it was colleagues that saw something in me and said, you should do this. I thought that if I did it the way that it was prescribed to me, that the plan would work, it would be flawless, everyone would be happy. But here's the thing, whether you're walking your path or someone else's path, plans change, pivots are needed. Your life takes a curveball, right? So why not be in the lane of passion and purpose, where no matter the turn, the curve, the pivot, you feel good about where you're stepping and where you're going and what's next for you. There's nothing worse than walking a plan that's not for you and you get a curveball and you get a pivot. It's not working out and you're unhappy with yourself and everybody around you for that, right? But if you just do what's right for you, you are okay even when a bump hits because you're like, I'm in this for the long haul, so I'm going to have to figure it out. That's where I am right now. And it really feels good. And I really just try to challenge more of us to be there. It is the path that is unknown, right? But it's the one that feels most comfortable and you can feel most confident in if you are walking in your purpose.
Oh, Dr. Taryn, love having chats with you. And in our authenticity, today has had its own little life curve, hasn't it? Which is why I am so very sorry to have to pull this to a close early. I would love to have you come back on so we can explore it in more detail. But just as we're leaving, can you let people know how they can get in touch with you?
Yes, I am at Dr. Taryn Co. on LinkedIn. That's the best way to connect with me. I really love speaking with all of you on LinkedIn. It can be a little boring over there, but we can jazz it up. Okay. So come find me there. Kim, I absolutely love you. Like, I need you to know that. There were so many bumps today, but I feel so much better about having spent time with you because I adore you. So thank you for having me.
Oh, right back at you, Dr. Taryn. I always feel such a spike of energy whenever I get the joy of spending time with you. So I look forward to next time. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your insight and your advice to help us to step up and own the life that we want to lead. And until next time, take care, my lovely. And for everybody listening and watching, I hope you've found it as insightful and inspiring as I have. And until next time, please take care.
Is it true? Is it kind? Is it necessary? In a world quick to judge, one book dares to reveal the hidden cost of silence. Discover holy but harmful, the silent sin of judgment, how hidden judgments destroy relationships and damage lives, by Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. The Amazon #1 bestseller that's transforming the way we understand ourselves and the way we see others. Pick up the companion workbook to uncover your own hidden judgments and learn how to break free from them. Available now on Amazon and at fine bookstores worldwide.
Every woman carries a story of strength, of purpose, of light. Through her courage, the world is transformed. Through her grace, generations are inspired. This is Iconic Women. Within Every Woman Lives a Goddess, a celebration of brilliance, beauty, and empowerment. Join us every Wednesday at 11 a.m. New York, 4 p.m. London time. Only here on USA, Global TVR, and radio. Featuring the iconic Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck, honoring voices that shine across the world. Subscribe to our YouTube channels, USA Global TV and Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck, to watch and engage with all our content. World-class education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USA Global TV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.